replace him with Sportsman Dan. Sportsman Dan, I know. Rob.
Also, real quick, shout out Sportsman Dan.
Sportsman Dan, the other Dan. Well, you go. What'd you call him for? Can't call myself a countryman because I sit on my ass and don't work my land. One of these days I'll give a damn.
Creed, can you take me higher? Stop it. What's up, y'all, and welcome to episode 21 of the Sportsman Dan Show. I know it's been a minute since my last recording, but I've been pretty daggone busy. I recently got back from Seattle, and I've never been to T-Mobile Park before. I don't know if any of my listeners have been to T-Mobile Park before, but put it on your list. Amazing ballpark. I got to see the Mariners play the Rangers. Valdi pitched. And then versus Brian Wu. And then the next day, I got to see Emerson Hancock versus the Athletics. And I believe it was JT Ginn for the Athletics. I believe I got that wrong. But two fantastic games. I got a sick Mariners fitted. They did have one in my size, my big old head. I was able to get one. It was a bit harder than you would think. But look at that Mariners logo. One of my new favorite logos in baseball, the compass, the baseball, the S with the two-tone. I really do think it's a clean logo and a clean fitted. As you guys probably know on Instagram, if you see, I'm on a mission to get it fitted from every ballpark I go to. So the Mariners one is my new favorite, and I'll probably end up wearing it for the rest of the month. Aside from my trip to Seattle. And by the way, Jeremiah Love, I disagree with everything he said. Seattle is a fantastic city to take a vacation to. I don't know if there's a big rivalry between the Cardinals and Seahawks. I didn't think there was. But I saw he was just trashing Seattle, going at Pike's Place Market. Like, no, it's nice up there. Some great seafood. I do think over here in the Chesapeake Bay, we do it a little better. But anyway, love Seattle. Highly recommend. But when I got back, I went right to the Virginia Beach Fieldhouse Card Show, which was yesterday. I was set up from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., and it was packed the entire time. Shout out Russ and 757 Card Shows. That was, without a doubt, the best card show I've been a part of. My older brother, John, Afro Man, was set up next to me, and he was selling his Pokemon cards, and he had a blast. He was very surprised that so many people were interested in Pokemon. He's been living in West Virginia. And I was like, no, dude, it's a big deal. So we both had a blast. We had a great time talking with everyone. And if you haven't gotten out to one of these 757 card shows, I will be set up again June 7th at the Portsmouth Rivers Casino. Now, I am super excited about this episode. I have a lot to cover, and I did some nice prep work. But before we get started much further, I do want to say, friend of the show, David Sandlin, made his return to AAA last night. The Charlotte Knights took on the Gwinnett Stripers in Charlotte. If you haven't listened to the interview with David Sandlin, I'm going to plug it again. Super cool guy and a super fun interview. We talked a lot of Star Wars and non-baseball as well. You're seeing the score correctly. The Charlotte Knights beat the Gwinnett Stripers 21-1. However, what's more important is Sandlin, coming back off his IL stint, started the game 4 clean innings, allowed 2 hits, no walks, 4 strikeouts. He's had a WHIP of 0.5, an ERA of 0.00. I know some people aren't the biggest stats nerds, but an ERA of 0.00, you can't get much better than that. So happy for David. I know it's just one start, but that's the start you want. Come back out there. Kind of crazy you win 21-1 and you don't get the win. However, I digress. I love minor league baseball, and anyone else out there who loves minor league baseball, let me know some of your favorite players. Obviously, I am very partial. You can see the Orioles logo behind me. To my Norfolk Tides. And speaking of Norfolk Tides, I have a pretty exciting segment to cover next. So as I am recording this, The Orioles will be playing the New York Yankees today at about 1 o'clock, where hometown hero, Grafton High School legend, Yorktown legend, Virginia legend, Trey Gibson will be making his debut for the Orioles. I predict a no-hitter, maybe a perfect game. However, I am a bit biased here, so that is not financial advice. But no, I'm going to tune into this game, and I know that things with Coby have been maybe not the best. However, when I put this slideshow together, it was after watching those home runs in Seattle and not being back home able to do a podcast. So this is an interesting PowerPoint. I think I kind of dove in a little bit and tried to do more of a prospect breakdown. I would love to do one of these with Jackson Holiday. I'd love to do one with Jeremiah Jackson to kind of see how guys do in slumps versus analyzing the player, how they are overall, right? So Coby Mayo, hot spring training, right? We're going to have to trust the process here. Got a bit cold. All right. We all know the 158 average. I think it's dropped lower since then, right? I think we're sitting now around like the 140 range. Okay. The OPS isn't there and no home runs. In the first 2 weeks, this was a sign of needs to be in AAA, right? Everyone was screaming, he's not ready. He's not an MLB player. Okay. I saw this meme with him as Shane Gillis, and at first I got mad, and then it's like, you know what? Okay, that's kind of funny. I get it. All right. I get it. Orioles fans, though, I will say some of them remind me a bit of Boston fans and Yankees fans. I mean, little grace is given. You know, they need performance now, and I understand, right? It's a baseball city. But as a kid from Norfolk, right, a Norfolk Tides fan, I've seen a lot of Coby, and I'm like, this is not the player that you guys are saying he is, right? I understand the batting average was 158, but his weighted expected batting average was a 297. Okay, weighted, and while I throw up these stats, I get it. Weighted expecting batting average, weighted on batting average. Take it with a grain of salt. Okay, so weighted on base average, measures a hitter's overall offensive production per plate appearance, giving proper weight to different outcomes, right? Like walks, singles, doubles. It reflects what actually happened. What I'm focusing on here is that expected weighted on-base average. This is a StatCast-based version of the weighted on-base average, but it estimates what a player should have produced based on quality of contact, exit velocity, launch angle, plus walks and strikeouts. It reflects what was expected to happen. So yes, is Coby Mayo striking out too much? Yes. Is he swinging at that outside slider way too much? Yes. Does it have him totally fooled right now? Yes. However, is he getting incredibly unlucky? Held to the yes, okay? Very anecdotal, but you see these 109-mile-per-hour line drive against Cleveland, right? Where he jumps up in left field, I believe it was Stephen Kwan, and makes the catch, right? That's an out. But that launch angle and exit velocity, that should have been a double. And as we're seeing with those home runs, better results were coming, okay? For those who play MLB The Show, you see the Coby Mayo card there. That was a sick card at MLB The Show last year, 25. Definitely got that one P5. But right, he mashes the ball inside fastball anywhere over the plate. If he can lay off some of that outside breaking stuff, the power is there. Home runs in back-to-back-to-back games, 110 miles per hour, 450-foot bomb. Okay, the hard contact has always been trending up. It's the strikeouts right now that are killing them. So I'm not saying that this turnaround is totally complete because recently we've seen some struggles from the Orioles. However, I do think those who don't have patience with these prospects and expect production right away, that's just really not how baseball works. And when you look at overall metrics and stats, and I know maybe I was getting into the weeds there a bit too much, I think it's important to guys like Jeremiah Jackson, right? You can't judge a book by its cover always, right? You have to let these guys develop and grow with the team, get their feet under them, and I'm hoping that's what's going to happen with this Orioles in the second half of the season. All right. At the end of the day, I guess this is a sports card part podcast. Excuse me there. We're getting the rust off. So I'd be remiss to not actually talk about some sports cards. So some cool ones I got from a thrift store. I took a shot. some random Ziploc bags. It was one of those ones I was like, so it's just, do you guys just get like a lot and you just randomly threw them into Ziploc bags and then priced them for $4 and like threw them on the shelf? And they were like, yeah, I think that's exactly what happened. So I was like, looking through these Ziploc bags, seeing if I could see anything, and most of it was absolute junk. It looks like it was some like complete set of like a 1989 Upper Deck that they broke up through a lot of the packs. So kind of got burned on the $4 there. But one of the packs there were some NASCAR cards, and got a sick little Dale Jr. there. I will also upload these to Instagram so they're easier to see. And then a nice little Jeff Gordon there, right? Like, I mean, how great is that? Um, Another guy I want to talk about, Tides legend, future Tides legend after this season, Judd Fabian. These are not for sale or anything. These are just for the PC. But Judd Fabian's a guy who's been super cool down there in Norfolk, interacting with fans, signing autos for whoever. That's my favorite personally. But yeah, wait, Judd has been crushing it currently. So if you're not on the trend of buying Judd, I would pick up some Judd Fabian cards. He's super, super undervalued right now, in my opinion. I do think Enrique Bradfield Jr. is the next guy to probably get the call in the outfield for the Orioles. But Judd Fabian, if he keeps it up with this, I mean, it's the offense and defense. The factors of both, right? They cannot be denied. And his ceiling is incredibly high. I would put it, an A grade potential for me or B. Now, whether he lives up to that potential, right? It's gonna be difficult. He's never seen a major league at bat. But if you're picking up cards right now, looking at some Orioles prospects, I'd say Judd Fabi might be one you want to dip into. Oh, so here's some cool pickups I got from the card show this weekend. I'm still buzzing from it. I'm gonna be honest. It was yesterday. I was set up. I didn't get a lot of sleep the night before that or last night. I'm gonna go into the Air and Space Museum today with my nephew, so I'm fired up. That's gonna be an awesome time. But let me talk about some cards I picked up from the Fieldhouse show yesterday. I was there to sell, but the best time to buy is really when you're behind the table. I mean, you'll never know what's going to come across. So I traded and got this Marcelo Meyer Cosmic Chrome Sun. I'm not super familiar with the Cosmic Chrome, so I only have a couple Coby Mayos and Jacksons for the PC, but this will be in the showcase. It's a pretty cool card, and Marcelo Meyer has been crushing it lately. I'm a big fan of what he does on the Red Sox. I think him, Roman Anthony, and Christian Campbell will all end up being fantastic prospects. Brent Rooker, little logo refractor. Oh, how about a Bryson Stott on the Museum Collection auto? Not a great time for the Phillies right now, the Phillies fans. And then this guy, the best tight end in the NFL, Tyler Warren. We'll see. Big on Tyler Warren. I pretty much only sell tight end, football wise, tight ends and kickers. I don't really dabble in much more. I have only pretty much learned that market, and I like following tight ends and kickers because that's what interests me. So find what interests you, and I encourage others who are collecting and maybe, let's be real, trying to flip. Maybe you're trying to look on the selling side of sports cards. Find what you know. Double down on what you know. And then from there you can expand. So football-wise, I'm sticking to tight ends and kickers. Also, Conflict Desert Storm cards. I've been sitting on an unopened box, and at the show, my brother and I said, let's start ripping. Now, my brother, he crushed. I mean, he priced his Pokemon at 90%, and I knew it was going to happen. A couple repackers came around, and they bought him out within the first probably hour and a half. Actually, within 30 minutes, he sold, I think, 80% of his showcase to a single buyer. And I knew that was going to happen, but he was blown away, so he ended up leaving at 2. So I was just sitting there ripping Conflict Desert Storm cards, but we got him. Okay, the case hit. Saddam Hussein pulled 2 of those out of one box, but it is a super fun box. You can see there, Norman Schwarzkopf. We got Colin Powell, Dick Cheney. Look at that smirk. And then George H.W. Bush, legend. Some super cool car. Oh, and then look at this, the USS Wisconsin, which if you don't know, the USS Wisconsin, the battleship, is now a museum in Norfolk. You can go and tour it, part of the Nauticus Museum. But anyway, if you haven't ripped Conflict Desert Storm, I had way too much fun doing that this weekend at the show. And to be honest, typically I go and I want to rip packs after a show. This is one of the first times I really didn't go and I say spend money foolishly. I think it's a lot of fun ripping packs. I still enjoy ripping packs. But I didn't feel the need to this time. I just bought some singles for the PC. So maybe I am practicing what I preach. But I really do encourage. It's funny, people ask advice when you're just behind a table, but I have been doing this a decent amount of time now. And yeah, I do know what I'm doing a little bit. A lot of people know a lot more. But, to people who are getting into flipping and this market right now, I do think it's at an all-time high. I wouldn't say a bubble. I think people use these economic terms and they don't really know what they're saying. I do have a degree in economics from Longwood University, but it's a degree in economics. I think the market is at a high right now, and it's a great time to get in. It's a lot of fun. I love doing this. However, I encourage you to, put most of your money, if you're trying to flip, into singles. And, maybe 80% singles, 20%, retail or wax that you want to rip. But if you're trying to make this more of a money, you're not going to really make a lot of money ripping boxes and selling what you get, or buying into breaks and selling what you get. You're just adding more risk factors, right? And it's already a pretty risky business when you're selling cardboard for marginal profits. I love it. It's a lot of fun because you get to talk sports, but you got to be pretty careful a lot of times, to be honest with you. For example, this new Topps Chrome release, right? The 2026 Topps Chrome football. I had a guy with a Jaden Daniels numbered to 6. And people are saying it's $1,000 card, but he could get an offer of about $600 from that show floor. And I think that's pretty fair from that dealer. Because this should be like, not quite a case hit, but numbered to 6, Jaden Daniels, that's a huge card. And it is an awesome card. And I do think he'll get about $1,000 for it or more, right? Who knows? It's that second part, who knows? Everyone is very hesitant, and I'm not the only person saying this, that this 2026 Topps Chrome football, they don't know where the market's going to land. We've seen for these new releases, the minute it comes into the market, it's at its high, and it steadily drops since then. I saw Cooper flags moving hands like crazy at this show. I think now it's the market is almost adapting to like, okay, well, if we just wait a month, then we can get it cheaper. And so people are not going to buy, even though you just pulled the case hit or whatever out of the most expensive box in the market. It's that liquidity factor. You got to find a buyer. And yes, you could do the eBay route. And yes, I understand why people don't want to do the eBay route. But going to a card show, I think is a great way to kind of feel out the market. Now, shows can be different. You can't base the entire card market off a show. But if you go talk to all the vendors, and maybe it's a bad show, so again, I'm hesitant saying this, talk to more than one vendor set up, and you'll get a pretty good idea. Just pick their brain. Most of these guys are like me. They want to talk sports. That's why they're there. Maybe some of them, instead of doing golf to get away from their wife, they chose selling sports cars. This is their hobby. Do whatever makes you happy at the end of the day. Go out there, pick their brain, learn as much as you can, ask a bunch of stupid questions. If they give you a hard time for asking stupid questions, find somebody else to ask stupid questions to. But I've asked all kinds of stupid questions to people. Again, I'm going to shout out the Ball Card Show. I know I've asked Gary and Jason some stupid-ass questions, and they were super kind, and later on I realized that was a stupid question. But you don't know till you don't know. And all I'm saying is, I love this hobby. I had so much fun yesterday working. I got up at 4 or 5 a.m., was going across that bridge tunnel, and of course the bridge tunnel was backed up at 6 a.m. Got back home about 6 p.m. It didn't feel like 12 hours of work. It really felt like a great time, and I'm still buzzing from it. So anyone out there who's thinking about getting into cards, do it. I met so many people. They said this was their first show. They just got into cards a month ago, wheeling and dealing, trying to make trades, flip, scouring my $5 box, finding those $10 cards I put in the $5 box. So no, if you're trying to flip, there's nothing wrong with that. If you're trying to collect, even better. And if you're like me and you're doing both, power to you, and welcome to the hobby. This has been episode 21 of the Sportsman Dan Show, and I'm excited to get back to you with episode 22. I will be doing more structured segments and a lot more visuals incorporated. Maybe not necessarily slides every time, but I'm excited to talk ball more and bring on some more really cool guests. So thanks again for listening, and let's go O's. Trey Gibson's. I'm excited to talk about his win because while you're listening to this, he's already pitched, but I have a great feeling about Trey Gibson today.